And today we're going to make this layered bubble letter cake top with our new pink bubble letter alphabet. So you're going to start by uploading them to Cricut Design Space. So I've got most of them uploaded. I also want the star. That's available in the download. So when you save them, you need to save them as a flat graphic. They're all ready for you to use. And then get them all organised in Cricut Design Space. So I'm going to make this for a 30th. So I'm going to get my 0 and my 3. And once they're all uploaded, I can start to create the layers. I'm going to size my letters now, but then this can be changed, but I like to size them to get a bit of an idea and that everything's in proportion. Then I can grab the whole lot and change it afterwards. So we've got a 3 and a 0, and as you can see, we've designed them so they've got a slight shadow on them, so they're like a matte puff alphabet. So we're going to start by clicking the offset tool on the top bar and making the first offset. Now what you will have to do is check that this is a cut image, because these are print and cut letters, and you do want to print and cut them, but all of your layers will be a cut layer. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my layers on this between a white glitter and maybe a silver. So I'm going to just grab those and hover those there so that I'm positioning, and then I'm going to position my star. My aim is to create a few star layers as well, so that it will just be like a multi-layered file. So I'm just going to tilt this a bit. Sometimes I can't get the thing, so if you just go up to the rotate tool, you can rotate it up there. You can't always get that little arrow, can you? And I'm going to duplicate that and make that a little bit smaller, and then duplicate it again so that I've got my 3 stars. And now I'm going to create an offset layer. You might have to drag this a little bit smaller, but I just want to create a tiny offset for each of my stars. So again, make sure it's a basic cut, and I'm going to change that to white because that will also be my glitter layer. And then I'm going to create one for each of these stars too. And I like it when projects have all got their own little offset layer as well, because it just gives it a bit of a different dimension. So I'll just work through these. And again, create the offset first, and then go in and make sure it's a cut layer and make it white. So once I've done that, I'm going to select it all together, and then I'm going to make another offset layer and just make that a little bit bigger and apply that there. And that's now connecting all of the different elements together. So I'm going to make that a silver layer. That should be cut. It is. So we'll just make it like a really pale grey or silver, maybe a pink. We'll do that and see what we can change our mind at the last minute, but it's good to just create your layers and use the colours you would, because then you can see how it's going to build up. So another offset layer, and then we're going to colour that, so we'll make that one grey. Another layer, and you can just build up as many as you want, and you can go between textured card, glitter, so you really can just keep creating to make it as thick as you want. So now I'm going to select all, and I'm going to just drag it slightly smaller because it is quite big. If you look at, I'd need some giant card for that. So I'm going to just drag it slightly smaller. I want it to fit on a A4, so it's got to be 10 by 12. And then I want to add a name on top as well. Now go to your text tool and you can choose some text. And I'm making this for my friend Shannon, so I'm just going to type in her name. And you can use any font you want here. Now you can aim for something that joins together, but you can also add an offset, which is what I like doing, so that you can change how chunky letters are. So I'm just going to drag it over my cake topper so I can decide where it's going to go. And then once I've done that, then I'm going to colour it so that I can see what I'm going to do that in white, and that will be cut on white glitter card. And then I'm going to add an offset on that, and then they'll be really easy just to cut out and arrange. So I want to match that to the colour of my balloons, but again it doesn't matter because that's going to be cut, so I will just make sure that my cardstock matches. Pop another offset in, and then I'm going to create an offset over the lot. So this will be my final offset. Click on the offset tool. Might make that just a little bit bigger. And that will be my back layer, and that will just really finish it off. And the great thing about Design Space is you can mess about and change the colour of your layers. And when you're doing that, you're getting a bit of a visual idea of what it will cut, so you're not wasting card. So I'm going to select it all and just drag it to the size I want to cut again. And then when I'm ready, I can send it to print and cut. So what you want is your numbers and your stars to be print and cut, and you want the rest of it to be just cut. So on matte, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I print these first. There's some extras for another project, don't mind them. So top tip, when you send to print and cut, use your system preferences. The print is much better quality for some reason than the Cricut preferences. So next, and then use system preferences. Sometimes I turn bleed off, but for this project, I'm going to leave it on and click print. Now this box should automatically come up, and then you can click the best quality. If it doesn't, reduce Design Space around, and sometimes it just goes behind it. Now when you've done that, you can click done and print it out. So you can see there that it's coming out of the printer, and I'm going to just pop that on my card mat. So I'm using a green mat. Again, most people use blue, but I like it to be super sticky. I feel like it just cuts better, and the mat lasts a lot longer. And then we're going to cut out our numbers, and then after that we'll cut out all of the layers. And that's why I like to sort my colours before, so that I can see what I'm cutting and know what colour I'm cutting. And here we are, it's all cut out ready. So I'm going to start by building up the name. So I'm just going to glue all of these on. Because they're quite intricate and tiny, I'm not going to do that with sticky pads. And just go through and add all the letters. And when that's done, you can nip it over and put some sticky pads on the back. And this is when you can start to create your textured layers. You can do it flat, but I do prefer the textured layers. So put some small sticky pads on the back, and then just remove them with your hook. And I find that the easiest way to do it. And pop it onto your next layer. And now I'm going to build up my numbers. So anything that's separate, build it before you start building the whole cake topper. And again, just pop your sticky pads on the back. And I do find it quite therapeutic doing this with a hook. If I do it with peeling it with my nails, I get in a bit of a state, but it's quite relaxing. And now it's a case of just building up your cake topper. So we've got the 3 there. Make sure these shadows go in the same direction. So then we've got the 0. Going to build up my stars. And they're all just the little fiddly bits. It doesn't take that long. I think this took me 17 minutes from start to finish the project, but I've just sped it up a little bit. So build all your stars. And everything's ready now to start building the actual cake topper. So we're going to go, I think, from the top downwards and then add the additional things on later. So I've got my 3 and my 0. And get them in my right positions. You can overlap that a bit there. And then I'm going to add my stars. And again, you've got to look at where your shadows go so it all makes a bit of sense, because it's a 3D style alphabet. And I'll pop that on there. And then the last one. These are probably the fiddliest bits. Then I'm going to pop that over and some bigger sticky pads. And pop that onto my next layer. So you can see how the colours that I've chosen are complementing the cake topper as well. And again, next layer. And it's just a case of building up every single layer with your sticky pads. And they're just so easy to make and look so great, which means you can buy quite a plain cake or make a personalised cake look even better. So we'll take these off here. And that's our final letter. So the last thing we need to add now is just the word. So I'm going to put it on top, but you can see that there's a bit of depth on the side behind the S. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it a bit deeper on that side. So I'm going to put a couple of sticky pads, and what that will do is it will make it deeper. So I'm just trying to work out, I think I'm going to add 2 or 3 and just put one on top of the other, and then that will mean that it will stand up on that side and won't look like it's squashed down. So we'll try that. And there you go. That works now. And there you go. That's one finished cake topper. Now all we need to do now is to add a straw for the background, but I haven't got a colour that matches, so I'm going to order a silver metallic straw to add onto it, which will just make it look even better. But there you go. Super easy to make. And if you do like my projects, please do like and subscribe.